Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Come take a walk with me. When was the last time you ate an apple or a banana? Or made a cup of coffee? Or cut up a watermelon? What did you do with the leftovers? Where did that core go? Or the peel? What about the coffee grounds? Or the watermelon rinds? Did they end up here? Or in any of these? This location is 24th and 8th Ave with bins set up on Wednesdays from 9 to 2 from the Lower East Side Ecology Center. And if you live in Chelsea and you can't make it to the corner of 24th and 8th Ave on Wednesday from 9 to 2, then you can come to this one, or this one, or the many others along the river. These are set up by the Hudson River Park Community Compost Program. There are so many compost options available across the city, and in select areas, the sanitation department offers curbside composting, so you don't even have to go far from your home. Now, the more I research, I'm starting to realize how well New York City does with food waste and composting, but that's in comparison to doing nothing at all. But that is something, and it's a start. The city works with businesses and the schools, as well as the individual households, to try and lower the total. Though New York City makes a few million tons of food waste a year, and about 14 million tons of trash that's sent to the landfill and to incinerators. That's why composting is so crucial, since food scraps make up 8% of all greenhouse gas emissions globally. Most of our food ends up in landfills. That's an insane amount of methane, a much more potent greenhouse gas going into the atmosphere. If food waste were a country, it would be the third largest emitting country in the world. According to a report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, home composting can divert up to 330 pounds of food waste per household. If these dreadful facts just don't do it for you, then think about the smell in your tiny closet of an apartment. Placing your banana peels, apple cores, watermelon rinds, cherry pits in a sealable bin like this, or a container like this, can really get rid of that stinky smell that you often get by having your food waste in your garbage. Think about the peppers, the onions. And when you do such a thing, you're avoiding the pests that come along with it. Think about the cockroaches, the rats. You seen those rats here in New York City? No way. And if you can't make it to a composting site every week, then take advantage of your freezer. Use one of those resealable bins or containers, put it in there, and it'll get rid of the smell and get rid of that extra food waste. Then 2-3 weeks later, go ahead and bring it on to a compost site. Simple as that. Now, I'm making all this chatter about the importance of composting, some emissions facts, and how to do your part as an individual. Yet, how does the process work? Who does it? Where does it go? I'm here at the Hudson River Park Community Compost Center, where they take all of our food scraps and other acceptable items and turn it into luscious soil that they then redistribute back into the park and all to the beautiful greenery that we get to love and enjoy. Let's take a tour. This is David, the Hudson River Park's compost technician, who specializes in, you guessed it, all things compost.
So in 2017, we started doing the compost program here. And we bought our first machine, the Earthflow, in 2017. We just started collecting some food scraps from the offices in the Hudson River Park main building. And we started to also collect the weed debris from the gardeners and shredding that here. So we were collecting food scraps from our office buildings for the new machine. And we were getting carbon from the park, wood chips and limbs that we would chip up and leaves. We also were grinding up weeds. Prior to that, prior to 2017, our weed debris and our garbage from the park would go to landfills. So now we're keeping the weed debris out of landfills. We're recycling in the park. So we're trying to do our part and minimizing the amount of waste that's going to landfills from Hudson River Park. So that was in 2017. Since then, we have grown. We introduced a few locations in the park where people that live in the community could drop off their food scraps. There was about 7 locations, and we just upped it to 3 more locations in September of 2021. And we are now collecting about 3,000 pounds a week of food scraps here in the park. And every day, those bins get emptied, they come to the compost yard. The increase in food scraps warranted a new system, so we have a larger machine now, and we process the food scraps along with the wood chips and turn it into compost. The compost is then used here in the park on all the plant beds. We make compost tea with it. We screen it and put it on lawns. Food scraps go into the Earthflow. A few weeks later, we bring it out of the Earthflow, and then it begins to cure. And the bays behind me have curing compost at different degrees of curing. And after it's cured, the temperature would come down to about 80 degrees. We can then screen the compost and use it on plant beds in the garden, in the park, along with making compost tea, or even screen it finer and put it on lawns. The advantage of compost in our garden beds is it's going to hold in the moisture, it's going to keep down the weeds, and it's going to feed the soil. And we have found that from this process, our lawns and our garden beds have improved immensely. And we don't have to buy mulch anymore. We're making our own now. So the process is pretty simple. It does have a lot of, it's kind of labor intensive. We're fortunate here that we do have a lot of people in our community that are very interested in volunteering here at the compost yard. So we do get a lot of volunteers. As I said, when we first started taking in food scraps, it was, a few hundred pounds a week. We're now up to 3,000 pounds a week. The machine that we just purchased has a capacity of 2,000 pounds a day. And we're really, we're just not even at that. We're, got a lot of room to grow there. I think they could go to our website and learn more about the composting and what we do here. I think it's very encouraging for people to, understand that and take a part in it. The benefits to you in your home, if you started to just collect food scraps in your freezer, you will find that you have less garbage, and once or twice a week you can bring your food scraps here to the park and leave them for us. Or you could even look into, other places. Most green markets here in New York City collect food scraps. A lot of community gardens in New York City collect food scraps and have compost bins. You look around, you will find some place to drop your food scraps that's relatively close to your home.
Oh, hey there. Don't mind me. I'm just eating a really delicious watermelon. Hot, sunny day like today. Definitely need that. And I just put the rinds in my compost bin. Easy as that. So I'm feeling pretty good about my purchase and what will happen to it afterwards, because I know it'll end up in David's hands. So, what do you think about composting in New York City, or just in general? I think it is a crucial part of our lifestyle, and even though it may seem minute, the more and more individuals that get hooked, the reel becomes heavier and heavier, snapping a difference day in and day out. So, thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it inspires you to go compost. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening. How about rest of your life? And continue to do wonderful things for our planet.